medical card or not.
Yeah.
You know, I've been down to that. I don't working on legislation.
Yeah, and one thing about the spring is it's like, on Saturday. Oh, wow.
6, 7, 8, not there.
10-15%.
So it's down.
Oh, because the other day they said if they get check starts, I
work on that one. When it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
And I ever can get this in shape.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'd like to call the Farr West City Council meeting to order. I'd like to excuse Mayor Phippen from this meeting. He is in St. George learning so that he can teach us how to be good at our jobs. We'll have our opening ceremony with the pledge led by Josh and then the opening prayer by Janelle.
Please follow me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the many blessings that we enjoy. We're thankful to be here this evening and discuss city business and help us to have Thy Spirit with us so that we can make the best decisions for our community and for our citizens. We're thankful for the moisture that we've received, and please bless that we will continue to get rain and snow throughout the spring so that we can be in a better position for our water. We're thankful for this beautiful community that we live in, for this country that we live in. Please bless our nation's leaders and those who serve our city and country. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Janelle. We'd like to welcome everyone here that's here and those that are joining us via YouTube. Is there any public comments? I don't see anything, so we'll move to the report from the Planning Commission. Commission Chairman Black.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, is it Mayor Pro Tem or Assistant Mayor? Which one's?
I don't know.
His Eminence and Loftiness Boyd Farron.
That's the correct one.
Humble members of the City Council. This is a report on the Planning Commission meeting held April 14th. We recommend to the City Council an amendment to the M1 zone that I believe is on your agenda this evening. There's a lot of work went into that, and I believe we've got that dialed in pretty close to where it needs to be. We did set a public hearing for a conditional use permit for Northwest Cascade Inc. for Honey Bucket Staging Yard. Those will actually be cleaned and only staged here. There'll be no product in the, it's not the word we used on the farm, but I thought it was more.
Thank you for
More appropriate for this setting. Anyway, it should have very limited impact. And so we'll see what comes out of that public hearing. We were considered a public hearing to change the landscape ordinance to be more water wise. Felt that needed a little more work before it came to the City Council. And so that has been tabled, and that is the extent of my report.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Chairman Black?
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work on that, and thanks to the members of the Planning Commission. A few of them are here, so thank you. Business items. We have the approval of upcoming street projects. Dave, do you want to lead us out on this?
You mentioned. Well, this year's been a little more interesting in our bid process for the streets. We put our bids out in mid-February as usual. We was late getting them. The paperwork was just crazy this year, so we actually opened the bids the 1st of April. And the stuff half the projects we bid out for this upcoming year is roads that Dominion Energy decided they want to tear up this year. And we didn't know that until about 3 weeks after the bids. And so we're having to do a little bit of a change over from what we had. So we do have money left over from this budget we are currently in. We have some projects, some chip projects we was gonna do for Associated. We're gonna rotate those around from 1200 West while they're working on 1200 West. The crack seal is still scheduled to go right now. It's running late. I don't really know why, other than it's just, people can't get products. That's all there is to it. So I talked to him yesterday. He's ready to go next week if we get approval to actually get the crack down. So we're ready to go for July 1st. So that's where, if you look at that, some of the stuff we put out the bid on it's kind of an overlap, but that's why. Dominion Energy just threw a wrench in our whole project. Our bid prices come out pretty good. Better than we thought, and it's a good thing we're not doing too much overlay this year, because the asphalt price went from 51 a ton last year to 143 this year. There's a crazy amount of increase, and so that hopefully, I'm not sure it's ever going back down, but at least we're not doing much this year. Any questions?
So it looks like low bid would be Anderson Asphalt then. right?
Anderson has our seal coat project. Staker Parsons has everything else, which is just a
Crack seal.
crack seal is Anderson again, which surprises me. They really wasn't. Talking to Jared, he was not really big on crack sealing, but he says if we're doing the work, I'd much rather do my crack seal to his standards than having somebody else come out and bid it. So he come up with a low bid, and that's kind of a good deal.
Dave, is this, like that bid from Anderson, is it kind of a package deal?
It is.
Okay.
We
can't
can
like
break
pick and
things
choose?
out and we can
Okay.
add to it.
Okay.
Where we combine funds from Class C to our road budget, which is our in-house budget, we kind of have to at least keep track of which one is which. But so on your thing, we kind of threw an additional out there for our seal coats, where we give us a price for the next 2 to 3 years, so we can extend that same price. And I'm not sure if we're gonna want to do that yet. I'll leave that up to Josh as we get a little later in the year. But the prices, the numbers he threw out there is really, really good.
So that additive alternate section E, that's that like
That's
multi-year
that,
pricing?
and that's something we can do at any time.
Really,
It's not a
It gives
binding.
us the opportunity as we get these other projects done, if we have some leftover money, we know a fixed price and we can actually go get it done without having to put it out for bid.
Kind of
And
like an on-call.
yeah,
Mhm.
so it usually is in our benefit to have that, so.
It does cost us a lot of money to bid this stuff out, just government funds, unfortunately.
So it's the section B, right, that you said we're not doing?
We're rotating it around. So as soon as Dominion they
Oh,
tell
so
me
it's
they should be
later.
done in August. If they do, we can do that road in 2 days' time.
So explain, so it goes, so that's why it's broken up into sections. So that's like the first project, the second project. Okay.
Yep. Usually it's not confusing that way, but this kind of worked out that way, so.
When do they want, when, you said when would they start on the crack seal?
Crack seal can start next week as of yesterday's timeframe. He had enough material to get started. The seal coat will not start until July 1st. Well, we can't legally give them authorization till July 1st,
Because it's out of the next year's budget.
next year's budget.
Oh, section C is? Is section D out of the next year's budget, or is that the only one that's out of the next year's budget?
That is probably next year's, because that's the one Dominion's working on right now.
Okay, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the upcoming street projects as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there
We
any,
need to identify using the low bid Anderson and.
Oh,
Staker,
Parson.
right?
using the low bid of Anderson and Staker Parson.
still a second?
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, bidding unanimous. So,
Thanks.
okay, Dave, you're still here, so
There.
speak to us.
Our speed signs, traffic logic. We have 5 of those LED speed signs in the city. I get the consensus from the public and you guys that we want to keep doing those. They are very expensive. And right now, we do not have a budget set aside. So that money comes out of roads. So that's where that money comes from. The price on each sign is $3,000 even right now for the Midland signs, a little over for the bigger ones. I don't think most people know the difference, so that's kind of a moot point. So what we have on the agenda right now it's not a lease, what do we call that? Licensing, there you go, for the year for the software. The signs work without it, but I can't log in right now and change anything on the signs. I can't pull readings off them to tell you what the average traffic flow is. So it just limits them for what we can use.
So if you don't have the license, you need to go download it from the sign.
Exactly. I have to manually plug it in to pull any kind of readings or anything off it.
And how many signs do we have?
We have 5 currently. There is quite a bit of talk. They want to do another at least 3. And that's kind of where, we talked to Cody and stuff for the budget. We don't really know. He didn't really want to break up a separate budget for that. He'd rather just keep pulling it out of road maintenance and repairs, which is fine. I mean, but it's hard to track how much money I have left to do crack seal compared to how many signs are on order.
And then how many years have we had these already, Dave?
We have, the oldest one probably is 4 years now, I think. 3 or 4.
What's their lifespan?
I do not know. I'm not sure I've heard an actual quote from anybody.
So they're 3,000 to put in and then this yearly fee for this software.
This is the yearly fee so we can pull it off the cloud. There is a breakdown they give us, since we was late, they give us a breakdown. We'll lower the price at 10-15% if you extend the years on it.
And what was the agreement that we had up until now? Was it how many years?
We did not, it was not on this program, so if we bought a sign and it give you 1 year's of,
Okay.
but through COVID, they extended it.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, we didn't even know we was paying for this until just a few months ago.
I think Nate had expressed, just for his desire was to go with the longest term.
Okay.
Because I'd emailed him about it, but I mean, that's kind of up to our discretion.
And that's Mayor Ken's consensus. He would it's up to you guys, but he'd kind of like to keep it going.
I think it's a lot of valuable information, especially with, getting traffic counts and speed readings through there and.
Well, not just that, but I think it has a significant impact on slowing down. When you see the number, you're like, oh, I didn't know I was going that fast. So, I mean, my neighborhood wants 3 of them. I said, that's probably not gonna happen, but where do we put them? How many more? And where does it come from?
We have moved them around.
We have.
Tried that
Okay.
approach.
Mhm.
As
And
soon
we
as you
still
move it
currently
around,
move them.
Everyone complains they want it back.
It's
So-
true. It is true.
Oh, I didn't even know they were mobile.
They're on a post, but we can,
They can move.
unbolt everything and move them around. And
Oh, yeah.
Useful.
We have done that.
Well, I think we should get the steepest discount. It sounds like it's something we want to continue doing. So I would agree with the.
that looks like a 7-year with
2150
15,
per sign for 7 years, yeah.
So that would be,
about 1,500.
$10,000, isn't it?
and so how budgetarily, how do we cover that since it wasn't covered? We don't have a budget item.
Well, it's in the budget, it's just out of the roads, that's what
Yeah,
he's
it's
saying.
just-
It's in our budget, it's just part of our road budget, so.
So it's 10,000,
So that'd be a pretty good hit though. If you want to add 3 more signs, and that's,
Oh, you want to
That'd be, you know,
But we could do, we
$9,000,
could
so.
add the 3 more signs in next year's budget, right?
if we, yes, just knowing that that comes out of somewhere,
Typically, if you get a sign, you get a year free of
hopefully.
software.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Which would
But
save
we're-
us $400
Oh,
or thereabouts a
reach
sign.
the end of the life of the free for what we've got.
Mhm.
So we
So the
need-
5 we have now, well, I can't log in now, so.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the 10,750 to get the 5 back up and up, at least with the licensing today.
And that's for 7 years though, right? That's
That's
your
7
7-year
years.
price.
Yeah. And then we could, again, it comes down to the budget, but if the demand is there and the need is there, we could, because we're not being asked to add signs tonight. We're being asked to just approve the license fee.
Exactly.
So I say we move on that, but, and then present or at least talk about adding signs in the future.
If that 10,000 came to cover that licensing fee came out of your budget today or, you know, before the end of the fiscal year, does that put you in a pinch?
No, I would just have to, you know, I'd have to keep good track of what we're crack sealing right now and patching to know, because I've,
But with 1,200, is it
yeah, I have
1,200 or 1,300?
50,000 one budget and 47 the other, so.
1,200 last, yeah, with that one moving, probably past July, right?
Mhm.
August, most likely, so that's
Mhm.
next year's budget anyway.
Which is doable. I mean, it's Class C, we can rotate from year to year if it's allocated.
I'm just making sure that we don't need to move any money from anywhere to make up for them.
And that actual budget, where it's combined with other things, we're in good shape, so.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the cloud renewal pricing for the 5 signs at the 7-year period.
I'll second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Voting's unanimous. Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Approval of ordinance number 2022-06, amendments to the M1 manufacturing zone. I don't know if how many of you have had a chance to go over this. But I think they've done a good job to keep it clear but simple. So thank you for your work.
Yeah, and I've been over it, and I think it's a great compromise, Ted, as we've talked, that it's a good compromise for what we're trying to accomplish, and I appreciate all the hard work that went into it as well.
So that's been whittled down significantly, as you can tell. We tried to make it as bare bones and understandable as possible. We tried to consider every contingency, both considering the needs of those in the manufacturing zone as well as those that live there. And as we believe it's a reasonable compromise. You're going to have some conflict when you have manufacturing next to residential. I don't know that you can avoid that entirely. But I think we're as close as the planning commission can get it. And there's, like I said, there's been quite a bit of work go into that. And the vote to move it forward to the city council was unanimous.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion if there's no other comments.
I'm sorry.
No, fine.
I have a question. I know you guys have probably discussed this and I was just wanting to understand. You said, so light other than natural light shall not negatively impact residential or agricultural. And I know you guys had talked some about like, well, how do you measure that? And how do you kind of put
So it's, if you go down to the bottom, it talks, well, that's the noise, sorry. The light issue, it's a challenge we have here is nobody on the planning commission has the level of expertise to really write this relevant to lighting. Lighting changes, it constantly, and if you go look at sites like the new Amazon site, they are very focused on not impacting other people and also, not spending more money than they need to spend. I really think the lighting issue is a non-issue. The days of people trying to strong arm other people are pretty much over. It just isn't good business anymore. And so I don't see that the exterior lighting is going to be an issue. If it does negatively impact someone, then the city has the ability to ask the owner to make some modifications so it doesn't, so it's reasonable. That's where that came from.
And just as a note, a side note, I talked to Mayor at Slaterville City because I had kind of quite, well, I had built something in Marriott Sladeville last year, and they have a dark sky ordinance in Marriott Sladeville for residential, commercial, doesn't matter. And so I was talking to one of their inspectors, and he said that, yeah, Amazon pushed back. Marriott Sladeville held their ground, because Amazon did end up putting more light poles in their parking to get the amount of coverage that they needed or wanted or for safety. But, you know, here's Marriott Sladeville, they stood up to Amazon and it worked. And I think the neighborhood is better off because of it. So without having that additional light pollution that floods off of the Amazon property onto others. So anyway, that was just one experience I had with it in the last 6 months.
We did go through several iterations of this, because there are, you know, shields and so forth that can be put on lighting. I really think with modern technology, this really is not an issue.
And then last question, the noise levels, the requirement for them to be submitted to and improved. Is that something like, is that like a line item we'll have to add to our like building permit application, or?
That'll be done at plan review. City council will approve that. So they'll come in and they'll say, we'll produce a maximum of this decibel level during daylight hours, a maximum of this decibel level during evening hours. You can then assess, you know, how close the nearest residence is. Is it going, so some agricultural processes are very sensitive to that. For instance, if you had a mink ranch close to you, noise and light can actually impact how well the pelts grow. So rather than write one thing, we thought that was a better way, and then the city can evaluate that and determine what they want.
My only thought is, should that be construction documents or occupancy permit? Because if you change companies that work there or whatever, it'd almost be more tied to your business license and your occupant versus the construction of the building.
Well,
The building can sit empty and it's approved.
right.
I'd almost think it's more of who's in there and what they're doing versus what the building is.
And we can address that as a policy issue. I'd recommend you leave it at this level, because if you don't, you're asking your building official to make that determination.
Well, he's making that determination anyway.
Uh,
But you see what I'm saying? You come in there, change occupants, it's almost better to tie it to the.
So the ones that we're considering currently that are being talked about in the city currently are large. They won't have multiple tenants in them. And I really think the city council needs to be involved in the impact that's going to have on the citizens. I know if I was the building official, I would hate to have that determination left solely to me, how much noise they can make at a given time during the day and so forth. You make a valid point, though. If we ever do one that's a series of rentable suites, that becomes very challenging. They also have a tendency to have more problems. One building with one owner is a lot easier to manage than one building with 10 tenants. So, but I think that can be done as a policy, whatever the city council wants.
Could we just amend it to final approval of construction documents or permit, or?
I think is that a natural process? I think that's, I mean, it has to be done under that anyway. They have to meet the qualifications of that zone.
Okay, so then,
I'm just thinking, you know, right now we have the noise level, operation noise level should be submitted and approved prior to final approval of construction documents. You know, if you have a developer that comes in and says, hey, I'm doing flex space, here's my construction documents. You know, what are they submitting as their noise level?
He has to make a determination.
Yeah, that's where it gets hard, I think, according to this definition.
Right.
Because now
but
we're
it's-
saying you can't approve it. until
It's
you
hard
get-
on the business owner because he has to produce something. The city approves that, whether the city council wants to set the policy that they do it or the building official does it, there still has to be an approved noise level. And then at that point, if a tenant exceeds that, it's the owner's responsibility to resolve that. Their approval is contingent upon that. And so rather than us set an arbitrary number, we thought it would be more appropriate for them to come in and set a number they know their business, they know what they do. And, but you're welcome to amend.
You know, if they've submitted that with the construction documents, I mean, we can always come in and review that later. and
That can
change.
always be
But
reviewed.
At least it's submitted as part of the permit. Okay, well, we're approving this project. This is what you say the noise level is gonna be. So I
Even
think
if
it's
they
okay.
don't know their tenants, they're still
They don't know their
responsible.
tenants,
Yeah,
they're submitting something
yeah.
for us to. approve.
They have an idea. For instance, an auto mechanic shop, a body shop, pretty much everybody in this day and age, you know how much noise is produced. And if you don't know, it's real easy to find out. So we toyed with multiple different decibel levels. We toyed with evening opposed to daylight hours. We really, after several iterations of this as well, a lot of time, we felt it would be better for them to come in, explain what they're doing, explain how much noise they create, and then let the city decide.
Ted, I do like this version better than a specific decibel because it'll depend on where it's at.
The specific decibel is a real challenge to come up with. So, and where's it going to be measured at? Anyway, this is what we think is best. As I said, you surely have the authority to amend this if you'd like to.
Just with our, I'm just thinking about our kind of administrative, our document wise that people, those physical documents people fill out. We will probably need to update and edit those because I think there's like a checklist, right? So we'll probably need to add a line item on those that just mentions that noise level.
Thanks, Ted.
Ted, we really appreciate the planning commission, what they've done on this, so.
Yep, agreed.
Okay.
I know, well, no, I stand here and make the report, but this is a group effort. This is not a single individual. Everybody's engaged. Everybody makes suggestions. Your planning commission works very well together and are to be commended. So.
I've been to a few of your work sessions and it's impressive the amount of work that's gone into this, so,
Research. and-
yeah.
Hey, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 06, amendments to the M1 manufacturing zone.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? This is an ordinance, so we need a roll call. Dave?
Aye.
Josh? Janelle?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Boyd, aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're going to set multiple public hearings, so let's maybe get out a calendar and see what we got here. So I'm open to motions.
So yeah, I was gonna say, as long as we don't have any challenges with the dates, right? We'll just move forward. I'd like to make a motion that we set a public hearing for May 5th, 2022 to consider approval of the 2022-2023 tentative budget.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, set a public hearing for June 16th for the consideration adjustment of the 2021-2022 budget.
I'll make a
Motion, we set the public hearing.
A motion,
I'll second. Oh,
second by Janelle. We'll take-
it's a
and then,
tie.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Set a public hearing for the same day, June 16th, 2022, to consider the approval of the final 2022-2023 budget.
I'll make a motion, we set that public hearing.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion, and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, set a public hearing for June 16th to consider amendments to the consolidated fee schedule.
I make a motion, we set that public hearing.
Okay,
Second.
second by Katie. Any other discussion?
Is that a lot of hearings for one day?
Not necessarily because
Not
they're
for
relatively
these kind of
quick.
things,
Okay,
so.
I'm like, that's a lot of stuff to go over and, but
I think we're fine with what, because we'll have most of that final.
Most of this is all related to the same thing, so.
Okay, good question. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We have set 4 public hearings for the upcoming dates, May 5th and June 16th. All right, let's move on to consent items. Looking for a motion to approve minutes dated April 7th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes dated April 7th, 2022.
A motion by Janelle,
Second?
second by Dave. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills dated April 20th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills
Motion
for
by-
April 2022.
Motion by Dave,
I'll second.
second by Katie. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, let's go on to our reports from our assignments. Let's start with Janelle.
Okay, we had a parks meeting last week. We went over, the attendance to the baby animal days, which was apparently quite large for both weekends. I was not able to attend either. And I'll let Katie kind of go over some changes to our special event, policies that we're looking at to help mitigate some of that. I mean, we were glad it was so popular, but there were some problems, that we can hopefully address. And then I think you've heard from the Planning Commission. They did a great job on the M1. I expect they'll do a same great job with the landscape ordinance they're coming up with to address some of the water initiatives from the legislative session this year. And I know Lou mentioned the spring trainings are available from the Utah League of Cities and Towns. I was able to go on and finish the water-wise one, which is actually quite interesting. So for anybody who wants more information on the legislative session this year, those are really helpful. I'll have to finish the rest, but for sure the water, especially this year, we're in a bit of trouble. Hopefully it snows like crazy tomorrow like it's supposed to. And then I'm still working on the park adoption. We have a park, someone who wants to adopt the Mountain View Park, but we want to open it up, put it on the website for our other parks as well. So I'm still working on getting that kind of worked out. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Katie.
A report on our Communities That Care Coalition. I was able to attend the Tall Cop presentation last week. That was really interesting and really eye-opening and blew my mind, the things that kids are getting into nowadays. The kids. And, but that was a really nice event that they hosted, and a really good speaker. We are meeting with them next week at our Parks Committee meeting to discuss the installation of the Know Your Script. They're kind of those benches and basketball hoops, those campaign items at the Smith Family Park. They are also hosting a virtual youth mental health first aid course. It's 6 weeks from April 21st to May 12th, and it's online from 6 to 8 p.m. And the mental health first aid course is kind of like CPR, but for anyone that's in a mental crisis or going through addiction things. So you can sign up for that by emailing their coordinator. And then parks, like Janelle was saying, we had a really good debrief around the baby animal days, and we're kind of able to, okay, this is what happens in this neighborhood when we have a lot of people in there. And I was able to talk with some of the neighbors in there, and I mean, they were overall very understanding. They said, we built next to a park and we like to see it being used, and but if these become more of a regular thing, 30 minutes to get out of your neighborhood can start to wear on you. So from that conversation, we started talking about how kind of tweaking our special events policy. And so I've drafted kind of some draft language and kind of a special events application that'll really outline, here's the rules you have to follow, here's what your costs are going to be, here's what you have to provide us and when you have to provide it. So we'll be kind of combing through all those details next, at our next parks meeting. So Ryan, I think we'll need your help too to update our ordinances to reflect those changes once we get those details hashed out. But I think overall we're kind of trending towards some good advancements there.
You give me an invite to that meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's good input.
Next week, 8 a.m. Next Wednesday, 8 a.m. Mhm.
Here.
Mhm. That's a good, and you'll be good to have there too, because there's some places that we talk about certain events of certain sizes needing security. And so I'd love your,
Also, if it's a city sponsored event, if you're
Yeah.
doing it, it's supposed to be recommended.
Very much so, yeah.
so your input would be really valuable. So thanks for speaking up.
So the 27th, right?
That's Wednesday. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Right, anything else, Katie?
Nope, that's it for me.
Thank you. Josh?
We had the sewer board meeting Monday night. Went well. We have a lot of projects going on, not just throughout the district, but over at the plant. They're doing a lot of expansion right now. So a lot of good things going on there. They did point out that if there's any city council, public works, anyone who wants to take a tour of the facilities and see what they do over there, they're more than welcome.
I'm gonna take my kids.
Want to wait till the hottest day of the year. It makes it more fun. So, but if that is, anyone wants to go, just let me know. We can get in contact there. And then Tuesday, we had our 4th of July Freedom Festival meeting. We got pretty much everyone involved in that. Things are coming together really well. Revised the schedule a little bit. Hopefully soon it'll be up on our website. Very similar to last year, plus adding to it, we'll have the kids' games back, a dunking booth, a lot of other things. So it should be good. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Josh. Dave?
I'd like to start with a question for Lindsay and Dave. I just, while Katie was speaking, it actually came to my mind. How's the trash pickup? How did that go with switching the schedule? Have you heard a lot, or did it go pretty smooth?
I haven't heard anything.
There's been phone calls, but I think Econo has been pretty understanding
And going and grabbing if they need
and
to?
I think they expected that.
Okay.
So people, I mean, you're still getting some phone calls, people who are a little confused, still mostly recycling is confusing to people.
Yeah, because
Um,
that changed as well, yeah.
I'm like a sheep when my neighbors put the garbage out. That's what I do.
Well, I noticed that first week, though, there were a lot of blue cans out in my neighborhood that should not have been out. And so I think it was confusing, but I didn't hear anything. Our garbage pickup day didn't change though, so I wasn't one of those neighborhoods.
Yeah, there were some confused people, but as far as they don't ever call back angry, so I think.
That's good.
Econo is being pretty receptive to that.
Great, all right, thank you. So updates, mosquito abatement canceled for this month. There was, the email was sent out, there were no new updates, so they tabled the meeting, and I'll wait to see what happens in May. So no updates there, but Mayor and I went and met with Commissioner Farr and Stephanie Russell from the county. I think it was Wednesday, if I remember right. And a lot of good talk. I submitted to their database on Thursday, the parcels of 5 acres or more that could potentially be commercial retail, and or manufacturing that are potentials for our site. Because I hadn't submitted it before because they had requested, like the contact info and sell price. And I just said, hey, these things aren't there's only really one that I know of in the city that's for sale. And she said, no, we'd just like to know what the possibilities are. So I did, I think it ended up being 6 properties is all that I listed. So the county now has it. They get weekly and daily calls from the state as well as local developers looking for ground. So submitted that to them. And again, it's nothing we have to do. I also submitted to them our existing general plan, but we also noted that that's undergoing change right now as well.
Dave, can I ask a
yeah.
question on that? Is that just for commercial property that's zoned commercial?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah, well, or planned for commercial. So not currently zoned, but something that's 5 acres plus that could fit into the commercial retail or manufacturing zone. We have a meeting Mayor and I are going to attend a meeting with Pleasant View City this coming Tuesday, where we're going to discuss more about 2700, working together there. Nothing's really changed, in my opinion. I'm just going to reiterate to Pleasant View City that we're willing to work together. Most likely, where we'll work closest together is on the transportation plan. And so we have that shared plan. It's going to change a little bit though, because something that I wasn't aware of, I actually drove by that new stub road that Dee Hansen put in. And I don't know if you've all noticed that there's actually a modular home on the west side of that road now, which in speaking to Dee the last time I talked to him, I thought everything was going to be on the east side of that and back a little bit further. So it really somewhat negates the need to cross over the canal anymore, in my opinion, at least right there, at least close to 2700. I think if anything, it's going to have to go back behind. But again, you're not going to try to drive commercial traffic or retail traffic through a neighborhood. So if I know they have a stoplight approved there, but I just don't know that that's ever going to actually happen now, based on the way I saw that road get built. So we'll continue to work on that. The last discussion I had with PV City was they had, Dana, their engineer, had one of the east-west roads going right through the middle of a parcel, and we just moved it to the property line. So that's probably the biggest change we made recently. So we'll continue to just push and say, yeah, we want to tie it in jointly, but we're not going to do a master plan where we have to follow landscaping and color requirements, things like that. That I think is it.
Thank you. All right, I just have a couple things. A couple weeks ago, I received a press release, and most of you probably know this, but Peterson Inc. was purchased. Not the physical properties. They're still held by Peterson Properties, but the company was purchased. That was, if you know, that was an ESOP where it was an employee-owned company. And so there's a lot of good things and a lot of positive things from that we should, at least the company should see, is a lot of, financial influx, being able to do different projects. So don't think it will do anything to affect the city, but I just wanted everyone to be aware of that as I received, again, that press release for that. Had a CERT meeting with Lou Wakert, and he's an amazing person. He's got a lot of energy and really has a desire to make CERT work. And so we'll continue to meet with him. The mayor and I met with him, and we'll see if we can get something for emergency preparedness here set up in the city, at least a little bit better form of emergency preparedness. I also attended the Weber County Emergency Preparedness meeting that was held at the sheriff's office here this last week. And it's interesting there's the hospitals there, there's Weber States there, there's Ogden City's there, all the local municipalities, and it was a great meeting. So looking forward to continuing to go to that. We had our fire district meeting, and things are going well there. The fire district is extremely busy. If you follow their Facebook page, they have people doing the wildfires in Texas. They're trading crews all the time. So it's a good thing, and we're helping out around the nation. They had an interesting thing. Just the day before our district board meeting, they had a badge pinning ceremony that I went to. It was just here at the fire station, but it's where the new hirees, after they've done all their fire training, they have the badge pinning ceremony, and I'm sure the sheriff's office has something similar to that. And it was quite touching to be able to go that 8 new people and 1 promotion to a lieutenant happened in that ceremony. But I was, because of the release of COVID, there were families there watching this. We were just in the bays of the fire truck bays. And there's a lot of sacrifice. These people start at a very low wage, and they're sacrificing a lot, just like the sheriff's office as well. They're not highly paid, but they're passionate about what they do. And just an extreme amount of gratitude I felt for those that protect us. And appreciated being able to be there and invited to be there as a board member. That is all that I have. Is there anything else anybody else has? I will entertain a motion.
Motion that we adjourn.
Motion by Dave,
I'll second.
second by Josh. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. We can tell Mayor Ken that was a good meeting, so.